That's all I know. That's all I know. This is my Casio S1000V. It was given to me on my birthday.
Kind of some alien babies to me.
That's all I know. That's all, that's all, that's all, that's all, that's all.
Hello and welcome to Casio Chaos Theory, and welcome to this video where last week it was my birthday and my significant other surprised me because I got up for breakfast and I found this waiting for me. Check this out. This is a brand new Casiotone CT-S1000V. I mean, it's not as if I had been dropping lots of hints with all those videos I've already made about it, but I'm pretty excited about this because this really is sort of the Casiotone that embodied the spirit of those original Casiotones that I grew up with in the 1980s. So let's get it unboxed, set it up, and see what it's got to offer us. One Casiotone CT-S1000V. And there we have it. And now we get to remove the protective plastic from the keyboard. This is the content of the box. Obviously we have the CT-S1000V itself in all its red and black glory. Then we get a quick start guide. Let me get this out from here. So you have to go online to get the proper manual. So this is just a quick start guide. And registration card to fill in and put details in. 2 black plastic washers, which I'm guessing are to do with this. Probably some kind of protection go on here when it's plugged into, or whatever, installed into there. I'll put that back there for the moment. You also get a wall wart, power brick, and a power cable to go into the wall, which will plug into there, and then that will plug into here. And then lastly, you get a wireless Bluetooth and audio adapter, wireless MIDI, whatever, which comes separately. So this is the contents of the box. Let's take a look at the Casiotone S1000V's form factor and design. The portability and build quality is excellent considering how light it is, and the speakers are surprisingly powerful for their size with a good frequency range and also bass response for such a compact keyboard. I also found the keyboard itself very nice and responsive to use, and I really like the textured surface of the keys. The key action feels solid and very much synth style in operation. Obviously, they aren't weighted, but they have, at least for me, just the right amount of resistance. Regarding the velocity, you can adjust the sensitivity with 3 levels depending on your playing style and preference, or you can switch it off entirely. The user interface is minimal and mostly intuitive to use, with the controls clearly laid out and accessible. The controls are nicely responsive, the buttons have a soft tactile feel, and the 3 assignable knobs have only a little wobbliness in use. Talking of knobs and controls, the pitch bend wheel is very easy to use with just the right resistance, though the choice of a knob above it for the assignable K3 control seems somewhat of an afterthought, as it is not easy to use simultaneously with the pitch bend. Normally you'd use a control adjacent to the pitch bend wheel for modulation, so it's a shame that they didn't try and squeeze a second wheel in next to it, or use a combined up-down left-right lever, as do many other synths. At the rear of the Casiotone, we have all the connections. On the left side panel, we have a micro USB socket that is used for connecting the S1000V to a host, such as the computer. Then to the right of this, there is a standard USB socket for connecting flash drives and the included Bluetooth dongle. Next to this is what looks to be 2 small square holes for connecting a security tag or security chain. Then a little further to the right, we have the 12V DC power socket for connecting with the supplied AC adapter. On the right-hand side panel, we have a good selection of audio and control sockets. From left to right, there is a 3.5mm headphone socket, though I am surprised that this is not on the front of the keyboard, where it would be more convenient and accessible. Then there is a 3.5mm stereo audio in socket for importing audio into the Casiotone. And to the right of that is a pair of 1/4-inch 6.35mm full-size audio out TS jack sockets for connecting the S1000V to amplifiers and audio interfaces. Next to this is a socket for connecting a sustain pedal. And finally, there is a socket for connecting a second pedal, such as for use with volume or expression. If we take a look at the underside, we find a battery hatch with space for 6 AA batteries that enables you to take and use the Casiotone anywhere, even if there are no power outlets nearby. It also has built-in strap pins so that you can wear it like a guitar. But it's a shame that Casio didn't think to include a removable grab handle like a Roland SH101 for example, as a handle is pretty much essential for balancing and supporting a guitar when playing. And aesthetically, I personally think that it looks gorgeous. The black and red colour scheme works really well, the controls are nicely laid out, and the backlit display is clear and easy to read with adjustable contrast. Overall, it makes for a very elegant and stylish package.
One eternity later.
By the power of time travel, we are now about 2 months into the future. Well, actually I took that time getting to know the S1000V prior to filming this next segment, and my hair has grown considerably since I did the unboxing. I also want to mention that this video is not sponsored and that Casio Chaos Theory is an entirely independent channel. All opinions are my own, and I will give credit where credit is due, and I'll give criticism where I believe it is warranted. Now, before we start, let me point out what the S1000V is not. It is not a workstation, nor is it a synthesizer, at least not in the conventional sense, and though it has a lot of arranger type features, Casio themselves do not advertise it as an arranger. They actually advertise it as a portable digital keyboard with voice synthesis. If you get one expecting it to fit any of the other categories I just mentioned, the S1000V is probably not for you and you will likely be disappointed. If you approach it as an unconventional preset home keyboard, packed full of great sound and features that also punches above its weight, then it might just be what you are looking for. What? They're back again, aren't they? Come on out. Yes, like and subscribe and ring the bell for more content and all that stuff. You know the score. Now, go, shoot. Sorry about that. What I'm going to try and do for this S1000V review series is to cover nearly all the features available in the S1000V, because most reviews so far have been somewhat superficial and mostly just concentrated on the vocal synthesis section, while barely touching on many of its other features. There really is a lot to cover, and I'm not making life easy for myself, am I? What this also means is that any feature I demonstrate that is not to do with vocal synthesis also applies to the otherwise identical CT-S500. All you S500 owners should also be able to find some useful information in these reviews, and in true Casio Chaos Theory style, I originally planned for this review video to be a single episode, but with there being so much to cover, I'm going to split it into installments and make a playlist. You can either watch the whole playlist from start to finish, or if you want to select a particular feature or category to view, then you have that option as well. I also need to mention that unlike a conventional synth with user slots for individual tone patches and rhythms, the S1000V instead uses registrations. I will be using a number of these that I've already created to save time during the demonstration. You can basically take a snapshot of the current state of the entire keyboard and save it as a registration to be recalled. And there are 16 banks, if I can scroll through these, 16 banks, and there's 4 slots in each bank. You also have the option of freezing specific parameters in a registration. That means that those parameters won't change when you switch from one registration to another. Unfortunately, registrations can't be named, so you will have to note down somewhere what you saved to a specific registration bank and number. Registrations can be saved to a USB flash drive, so if you fill up all 64 slots in the S1000V, you can save them to a flash drive to be recalled at a later time and then overwrite the slots on the keyboard with new registrations. You can also save and load the entire contents of the keyboard to and from a flash drive, and I believe that you can name those. Therefore, running out of registration slots shouldn't be a concern, as long as you have a spare flash drive, that is.
I am Sinistar.